Every season in the NFL brings new pressure, but for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2025, one player is carrying more weight than most: Malcolm Koonce. According to Pro Football Focus, Koonce is the make-or-break player for the Raiders this season. This isn't just about his career, it's about the entire team. The Raiders have been searching for someone who can line up opposite Maxx Crosby and consistently deliver. And during the final stretch of 2023, Koonce looked like that guy. From Week 10 to Week 18, he earned an 84.9 pass rush grade, one of the best in the league. But 2024 didn't go as planned. Koonce missed the entire season with an injury. Despite that, the Raiders signed him to a new one-year deal, a clear sign they still believe in him. If he can return to his late 2023 form, Las Vegas could finally have the pass-rushing duo they've been dreaming of. With Pete Carroll now leading the charge, and a defense built on speed and aggression, Koonce has a chance to play a major role. But before we dive into the rest of the news, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and don't forget to turn on the bell icon so you never miss any big Raiders updates. Now, let's keep going. This isn't just about pressure, it's about potential. Koonce's success could open up the defense, force more turnovers, and give the Raiders a shot at becoming true contenders. With leaders like Antonio Pierce and GM Tom Telesco backing this new vision, Malcolm Koonce is a name every Raiders fan needs to watch in 2025. There's a quiet fire in Malcolm Koonce that most don't talk about, but Raiders fans are starting to notice. He's not the loudest voice in the room, and he wasn't always the favorite under the old regime. But when Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler moved on, and Antonio Pierce stepped in, Koonce finally got his shot, and he made it count. He didn't just fill a role, he dominated. In the final stretch of 2023, his impact was undeniable. And now, in 2025, he's standing at a crossroads, not just for himself, but for the entire Raiders defense. Think about this. Before his injury, insiders believed Koonce could land a deal worth $20 million per year. That's the kind of potential the league sees in him. But after suffering a late preseason ACL tear, he ended up with a one-year, $12 million prove-it contract. It was a setback for him, and for fans who saw something special beginning to form. Here's the wild part. Despite how highly he's valued, Koonce has played in just 39 games with only 11 starts. He's barely topped 600 career snaps, and yet, when he's on the field, the defense feels different. Picture this. Maxx Crosby is the Michael Jordan of this pass rush. And if Koonce stays healthy and returns to form, he might just be Scottie Pippen, maybe even Dennis Rodman on third down. The Raiders don't need fantasy. They need pressure. They need production. They need to get after Patrick Mahomes. The 2019 Buccaneers did it. The Eagles just did it. And if the Raiders want to compete in the AFC West, they'll need Koonce and Crosby to be one of the most feared edge duos in football. Malcolm Koonce doesn't have to be the star, but if he shows up like he did in 2023, this team might be closer to Super Bowl conversations than anyone thinks. When Malcolm Koonce is fully healthy, he doesn't need to say much. He leads by action. He's the kind of player who quietly dominates. And when you pair that mentality with the relentless energy of Maxx Crosby, something powerful starts to build. This isn't just about 2025. This is about building a foundation for the future. The Raiders are no longer thinking in short 2 or 3 year windows. They're building a culture, a system, and a defense that can hold up year after year. And having professionals like Koonce, who show up, do the work, and perform on and off the field, sets the tone for the next generation of Raiders football. Now, let's take a quick step back. Remember what Pro Football Focus said in their article. Every year, players across the NFL reach a career crossroads. One big season or one lost year can define their entire path and even change the course of a team's success. For the Raiders, Malcolm Koonce is that player. He's the difference between an average defense and a top-tier unit. He's the kind of X factor that helps you shut down division rivals and chase something bigger, not just playoff dreams, but championship conversations. And coming up next, we're breaking down even more of those critical Raiders players, ranked from number 1, 5 all the way to number 1. Who could define this season and beyond? So I sat down and asked a simple question. Which 5 Raiders are truly at a crossroads in 2025? Which players are standing in that space where it's either time to level up or risk being left behind? Let's start with number 5, wide receiver Trey Tucker. Tucker is stepping into his third NFL season, a critical year for any young receiver. But what makes his situation unique is everything that's changed around him. He was drafted under Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. Now, in just 3 years, he's working with his third offensive coordinator and third head coach. That's a lot of turnover for a player still trying to find his rhythm. To add more pressure, the Raiders just drafted 3 new wide receivers, Jack Beck, Dante Thornton Jr., and Tommy Mellott. That's a clear message, nothing is guaranteed. But here's the thing, Tucker didn't flinch. He showed up this offseason, put in the work, and earned reps with the first team. His speed gives this offense a vertical threat it desperately needs. If he can find consistency, he could become a major weapon in the passing game. Number 4, Malcolm Koonce. Yes, we've talked about him already, but let's put it in context. Koonce has shown flashes of being a dominant edge rusher. His pairing with Maxx Crosby could redefine this defense, but he's still never started more than a handful of games. And after missing all of 2024, he has to prove that his late 2023 form wasn't just a streak. It's who he really is. He's important, critical even. But the players coming next, they might just be the keys to the entire 2025 season. When used right, Malcolm Koonce is a specialist every quarterback should fear. He might not be built for every down, but when it's third and long and you unleash him off the edge, he's a weapon. Just let him focus on getting after the passer, and Koonce has the potential to deliver his best season yet. Now, let's move to number 3, Tyree Wilson. Wilson enters 2025 with something to prove, and he knows it. Drafted 7th overall in 2023, he came into the league with massive expectations. He looks the part, 86-inch wingspan, powerful frame, and the kind of build you'd expect from a top-tier pass rusher. But the production hasn't matched the promise, yet. His rookie season was disrupted by a lingering foot injury, and he was rushed into action earlier than expected after the Chandler Jones situation left a sudden hole in the lineup. The results were inconsistent, but there were glimpses. You saw flashes of strength, flashes of potential. Now, in year 3, Wilson is in a make-or-break moment of his own. Coaches like Rob Leonard and Patrick Graham have praised his development this offseason. He's showing signs that he's locked in. And with Maxx Crosby setting the tone on one end, Wilson doesn't need to be perfect. He just needs to be disruptive. If Wilson finally clicks and becomes the force he was drafted to be, the Raiders could end up with a top 3 defensive line in the NFL. Christian Wilkins may be the most important player on the Raiders' defensive line, not named Maxx Crosby. His presence in the middle changes everything. When Wilkins draws double teams, it creates space for guys like Malcolm Koonce and Tyree Wilson to get free. And when he gets one-on-one matchups, he's more than capable of collapsing the pocket on his own. That kind of disruption doesn't just affect the defensive line, it ripples through the entire defense. This offseason, the Raiders moved on from veterans like Trevin Moehrig, Nate Hobbs, and Robert Spillane. That means more pressure is falling on the linebackers, safeties, and cornerbacks, especially if the front four can't consistently create pressure. In today's NFL, you can't rely on coverage alone. If the Raiders aren't getting to the quarterback quickly, the secondary could be exposed. But with a healthy Christian Wilkins anchoring the middle, the entire unit becomes more dangerous. He's the kind of player who lifts everyone around him, and without him performing at a high level, the defense could fall apart. There's no debate. Christian Wilkins is a make-or-break player for the Raiders' 2025 success. When you look at the 2025 Las Vegas Raiders, there's pressure everywhere, but no one faces more scrutiny than the man under center. The Raiders have gone through a carousel of quarterbacks in recent years, and that instability has held this team back. Now, the spotlight is locked on their new starting quarterback, a player who must lead, deliver, and finally bring consistency to the offense. This isn't just a prove-it season. This is a legacy-shaping season. The Raiders can't afford another misstep at quarterback. The weapons are there, the defense is stacked with talent, and the coaching staff, led by Pete Carroll and Antonio Pierce, is setting a new tone in the building. Here's the full list of the top 5 make-or-break players for the Raiders in 2025. 5. Trey Tucker, the speedy wideout with something to prove. Number 4. Malcolm Koonce, who could become a star if he builds on his breakout stretch. Number 3, Tyree Wilson, a former top 10 pick finally ready to explode. Number 2, Christian Wilkins, the anchor who holds the entire defense together. Number 1, the Raiders quarterback, because everything depends on him.